Fran, hey, thanks for meeting with me this morning. I really wanted to take a little bit of time and go over what I found just investigating the Treasury Department in its current state, and then also give my recommendations for the future. Now, currently the department has been running along. We have had some openings. We did a round of interviews for the open position for the Director of Investor Relations. There are some promising candidates there. Hopefully, we'll be able to have that position filled soon. We've been talking about becoming a world-class organization. In order to achieve that, we will work on the alignment of our people strategy and our business strategy. I'd like to take some time to tell you about our current talent pool. Strategically managing our talent is the best way to make the organization more effective. I'd like to tell you where the talent is in the organization. Then we can have a conversation either now, or we can schedule another meeting to strategize on a world-class vision, mission, and goals, and how best to organize this team to move forward. Now, first up, as far as talent, is Leslie. Leslie's been at the company for a long time. He has a very strong work ethic, often coming in early and staying late. I'm sure you've noticed his late hours. Now, he has been known to come through in a pinch, once working 14 days straight when the systems failed. His favorite activities include project management and helping people. He doesn't like managing people, as he finds performance management to be difficult. Now, as far as his performance goes, I feel like he's willing to put in the time, but he isn't all that effective. If he were more focused or competent, he could have completed his work with time to spare. The action plan for Leslie is to focus on improving performance. Now, this could be with training and coaching or through mentoring. He could be a crucial asset for the department, but we need to help him to learn more effective management skills, as well as be more productive with his time. Now, once those things are accomplished, he can take on larger and more public roles in project management. But one thing I feel that we need to stress with him is that project management is going to require him not only to be an effective manager of people, but also an effective manager of time. So if he wants to take on more projects, those are two things we need to work with him on. Incidentally, that also helps him with his career. Next up is James. Now, James, he goes by Jim. He's been with the company for 22 years. He's worked in numerous departments, including engineering, and his move to our department was a recommendation from Peter. His performance leaves a lot to be desired. He doesn't really have a background nor education or training in finance. He's an engineer by trade. He reports to Leslie, and as we mentioned, Leslie would rather be doing the work himself than telling someone else their work is lackluster, and that's a drag on the whole division. For an action plan, I'd like to see what Jim can do with some training and with some guidance and direction. I'd like to meet with HR to determine what we can do with him, whether we need to reorganize, whether he might move down to an analyst position, while we get the ducks in a row. Now, I'm not sure how that will affect him financially with his family. That was part of the reason why Peter put him in this role in the first place, to make sure he made enough money. Next up is Terry, and Terry's an analyst. He's an in at 8:30, out at 5 kind of guy, but that's because he has commitments at home that have kept him busy. He feels like his home life may have hurt his career, but I really feel like his commitment to his home life may have really helped him in his career. And his performance is great. His work is great. It gets done all within the workday, which means he's very productive and efficient. Even more so now that his responsibilities at home have changed for the better, he wants to know how he can contribute more. He may be looking at moving up in the organization. My action plan for Terry is to look for advancement in the near term. I'm interested in talking to HR to see what we can do about Terry taking on more responsibility in the department and how best to accomplish that. I can see moving him to senior analyst and letting Jim have his old position. Letting Terry train Jim will help Terry develop leadership skills while Jim learns his role. Next up is Karina, and Karina came highly recommended. She was high up in another company before coming over to AC. Since her arrival, she's taken some time to get her footing, but now she's really begun to take stride. She took initiative after losing Lou, and she's really working to develop Pam. Now, these are things that I like to see in leadership, especially taking initiative. Her performance is solid, and it will continue to improve as she learns what's expected of her here at AC. She's shown herself to be a self-starter as well as insightful. The one thing she likes to do is document procedures. Now, this allows her to do 3 key things: increase accuracy, reduce training times, and open up more re-engineering activities. Now, just to let you know, one of the re-engineering activities that she did on a process was able to save us 10 hours a month, and that was just one. Now, imagine what we could do if we implemented that across the entire department. Next up is Pam, and Pam's an analyst in capital budgeting. She used to report to Lou, but now she reports to Karina. She's solid and she can be counted on when the need arises. Her performance has always been good. Working with Karina, her work has really come into its own. She enjoys working with data and analyzing it to get the story that the data is trying to tell. Now, I feel that with Lou's position open, she could be a candidate for that role, but there are some things I'd like to see from her. My action plan for Pam is to give her a couple of assignments to assess her ability to keep good relations with each department. It might take her a little out of her comfort zone, and she may need some training and mentoring, but if she has the drive to learn between Karina and myself, I feel we can develop to get her there. There is stiff competition for that spot, though. Next up is Chris. Chris is the assistant treasurer in receivables. Now, she's been with the company for 6 years. She spent time working for Susan as well as myself. Her performance has been no less than amazing. Chris is passionate. I know you experienced this firsthand. It's her passion that makes her such a great asset. The project you gave me to streamline the process and reduce days outstanding went to Chris. She took the initiative, and I'm happy to report things are looking great. Now, the action plan for Chris is to give her some higher-level tasks and stretch goals to prepare her for advancement. I'd like to work with her and train her so she's ready to advance. I'd like to speak with you again in more detail about Chris. Now, next up is Richard. And Richard is a senior analyst in receivables. He's an accomplished individual. Prior to working for AC, Richard worked at Citibank in New York. He also graduated with honors from Harvard Business School. Now, Richard has networked around the office, and he seems to be liked by those that know him. His performance has been solid. His output has been good. He has an MBA and a very creative mind. The action plan for Richard is simple. I want his work to be outstanding. I know that it can be. I know he's talented enough. I feel that he feels that just doing his duties is patronizing. I know he respects Chris and he wants to advance. In order to advance, his output at this level needs to be second to none. We can motivate Richard with high-profile projects. If he turns up the heat on his regular work, then we can start giving him those projects he's looking for. Also, with his ideas, we can let him project manage some of the implementation of those, allowing him to have the high-profile project he's looking for without having to take opportunities from everyone else. It's a win-win. Once his work is stellar, I think he'll be a fine candidate for promotion. And finally, with talent, we have John. Now, John's the youngest in the department. He consistently comes through with his assignments. He shows both maturity in the professional and the personal areas. And his work output's been great. He continues to meet or exceed the expectations of his work. He also consistently works above his pay level and position. The action plan for John, not many people know about his talents or his intelligence. I'd like to find ways to get him noticed. I'd also like to develop him for advancement. We know there are positions open in the department, and John is talented enough to really do things here. So how do we get there? With solid talent management. The goal of which is to create a high-performance, sustainable organization that meets strategic and operational goals and objectives. We see where talent is in the organization. I feel that we can get more out of the talent with reorganization and a dedicated plan. Now, we should spend time making the purpose and direction clear. Our values should be so well known that people are reminding each other and holding themselves accountable to them. We should make sure our people then have access to all the resources necessary to be successful. This would include training, materials, technology, automation, whatever we need. From there, we should be encouraging our team and building confidence in them, really building a culture around this. While this change is going on, there will be no shortage of projects for those ambitious enough to show off their talents. And as leaders, we need to be crystal clear on where we are now and what the future looks like. From there, we should determine the timeline and work backwards to develop a plan to get there considering the risks. We should look at each individual so that we know what we need to do to get them to perform at the level we need them to perform at to get to where we want to go. We need the right talent in the right place in the organization. We can do that with training, coaching, mentoring, and with hiring. Now, I would suggest we make a workforce plan. Now, this is the process of ensuring the right people are in the right jobs with the right skill set to make an organization more effective. First, I plan to talk to HR and get their support to see what we can do. We have some people not doing the work required for their position and others who are doing more and not getting paid for it. This needs to change. We can either reorganize, which is the direct route, or we can implement new goals and standards and use performance management to get us to where we need to go. Now, Jim was recommended for his role by Peter. He's a poor job fit for his current role. He doesn't have the skill, but I think he has the will to learn. If we have the time to let him learn, that could work out. I feel that since he isn't able to perform his job function, he should take a lower position of analyst under Terry and be trained by Terry, who knows that position. I don't really know what to do about that, though. We may need to run it by Peter. Now, Leslie is Jim's manager, and he stated that he isn't interested in performance management. I'm unsure if this is because he doesn't have the skills which we can help him learn through coaching and training, or if he doesn't have the will, he's just not interested. A strong workforce plan put in place can allow us to act quickly with the right talent, take advantage of opportunities. It can help to ensure decisions are made in advance and not made reactively or emotionally. It can help us to strategize hiring and direct the growth and development opportunities for employees. Now, one option that we have is reorganization. If we reorganize, we may be able to keep Jim, as this would mean a lot to Peter. Now, he would have to take a pay cut. This could be hard for him with his family situation, but the alternative is losing him completely. Now, we have a little more than $13,000 left over in the budget from the raises, so he may not have to take too much of a pay cut. Since Terry knows the role well, he can work to develop Jim, if Jim would like to stay. Talking to Peter, though, Peter may also move him to another department, as this is how he came to us, and it's happened before. Now, John and Terry are both ready to advance. Karina has been working with Pam, and we may lose her if she doesn't move up, but maybe not. I think with the right approach with Jim and Pam is to find out if they want to move up and work with HR to get them the resources they need to be competitive for upcoming positions. Reorganization is immediate, and we may be able to keep our talent, although there could be damaged relationships, and people could feel unappreciated if we're not totally transparent if we implement a demotion. This is my preferred route. I would like to show that we are committed to developing the organization as well as the people in it. I don't want to lose anyone, and I'd like to use our resources to train and share knowledge while we're promoting. Now, another option that we can do is we can reskill or upskill, which means we can set new department goals. Now, as far as Leslie goes, he'll either rise to the occasion or he won't. It just depends on whether he needs the skill and can learn it, or if it's a will issue and he doesn't want to learn it. If we lose him, Richard could move up to that position. John would move up, and Jim, he may not make it, and he may. If he doesn't, then Terry would move up, Pam would move up, and we'd have to hire all new analysts. Otherwise, Leslie could stay. We may either end up losing Jim, or as I showed earlier, we may move Jim back down to an analyst position. If Pam doesn't promote, we may lose her, but maybe not. We'll just need to be working with Pam to make sure that she's competitive as time moves on. So either way, in order to make this shift, we're going to need to have our leaders being diligent and fostering an environment of motivation. Now, this environment is where people do their best work. It's enjoyable, and it inspires people to excel. How do we do that? Easy. We've been talking about it. We can start by communicating expectations, fostering positive attitudes, giving stretch assignments, giving timely feedback, and with transparency and open communication. In this environment, it'll be important to foster clear and open communication. If we're reorganizing, it may help to collaborate with the team to provide a level of transparency about what we're doing and why. We should seek for the team to come together and rally around each other's talents and abilities, as well as recommend ways for the entire division to get better. As far as recommendations, a couple of things I'd like to see. One, I want to have more team-building activities. There are people that don't really know each other very well. One of the predictors of team performance is trust. Without trust, teams can become highly dysfunctional. I would like to be able to get the whole team together more often. There are also some people in the division that could benefit from more training. And not just the classroom type either. At a previous company I worked at, I created a wiki for department SOPs. It was used as a reference and updated by the person who did the task. It was really great for re-engineering processes and seeing if changes had an effect in the short or long term, and it made it faster and cheaper to hire and promote. This, I think, could really work well for the whole division. Now, another thing we should do is standardize. So, I would like to use our team in a better effort to standardize more processes, and if we can make operations more efficient, that will save time and ultimately money. With the work being done on computer, a lot of it can be done remotely. I'd like to talk to HR to see if we can have more flexibility in the schedule to work from home. I'm not sure how to implement it, but I know there are companies in the workforce that allow work at home, and if not, we can do something hybrid where people put in time at the office and then also put in more time at home. This could work really well to help our talented staff with family obligations still advance in the company. And finally, I would like to implement a department book club. We have some very smart individuals here, and we all know some books that would be great if we all read. We should encourage sharing. It would also help to promote a shared culture here at AC. We could run the books by HR, do it quarterly. That way it gives the best opportunity for even the busiest person time to read, and they can even listen on the way to work through Audible or through Amazon. So I'm open for questions. I'd like to sit down with you and talk more about the vision, mission, and tasks so we can develop these goals and really get our team moving forward. I also included a couple of things. So I included the decision-making matrix. It's a simple 5-point scale that you can go through. I color-coded it on each person's individual slides. When you go through, you can look at it. as well as the finance department pay chart, so you can see what I did as far as pay and where that surplus is coming from. I'd like to thank you for your